Tonight on The Roast, the search for Edward Snowden continues and Prime Minister Gillard cops a bit of flack for a photo shoot. But first, US President Barack Obama has announced a new plan to combat climate change by using executive powers to get around flat Earth science deniers. You know, the people who traditionally picket these events with pitchforks and flaming torches and stunning meteorological ignorance. Obama used his presidential powers to call for
new restrictions on existing and new power plants to curb carbon emissions, pledged to push new generation clean energy sources, and to lead a fresh global effort to stem global warming.
And I certainly hope that he and the 97% of scientists who agree with him are right about climate change, because otherwise we're all going to be living on this clean green planet for nothing like a bunch of chumps. In this emotive speech, Obama stated,
"I refuse to condemn your generation and future generations to a planet that's beyond fixing."
To which the audience replied, a lot. And he even had the foresight to hold the conference on a day that was so hot, the American public could not help but understand the need to combat rising temperatures. It's a move that'll have Al Gore kicking himself that he didn't think of it first. If only he'd been sweatier, perhaps it'd be his name in the history books. But will the rest of America get behind this environmental initiative? Well, for more, let's cross now to political correspondent Jazz Twemlow.
Thank you, Tom. This is a great moment for Obama. He's finally stepping up to the demands of his position and taking control.
But is the use of executive power not straying just a little bit from these democratic principles?
And if he's ignoring the usual democratic process to save the planet, then all power to him. Literally, all the power. Give it to him. Make him become the benevolent dictator he was born to be. But then again, what if he's like Julius Caesar and he never gives the power back? Every dictator starts out the same, so much hope, so much potential, and then you click your fingers, bam, you've got Mugabe.
Okay, so there are potentially positives and negatives to the president asserting himself. But do you actually think it's possible for Obama to make a significant contribution to stop climate change?
Well, he did successfully pass his healthcare legislation in 2010 in a very divided political climate. It shows when he really wants to do something, he can do it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But then again, what about Guantanamo Bay? He promised to close it in 2008, but it's been 5 years and nothing. He's all talk.
But what?
Listen, me, he's going to save the planet. No, you listen, me. He'll destroy it with drone strikes. He saved the auto industry. Didn't save Bradley Manning. Stimulus package. The NSA? Beyonce.
Okay, final thoughts from both of you. What does the future hold for the president?
He'll legalize gay marriage. Only for straight people. He'll eradicate pollution. He'll eradicate Cuba.
So you're really not sure how you feel?
Yes, I'm excited. Scared.
All right, we'll come back to the Jazzes when he's made his minds up. In the meantime, on Monday night, we reported on the continuing saga of Edward Snowden, the former NSA surveillance analyst and 2013 hide-and-seek champion who had fled from Hong Kong to Moscow. Or had he? This morning, The Guardian quoted Russia's foreign minister saying Snowden had never entered Russia. Al Jazeera reported he had entered, but then probably left Russia, and the ABC had no idea what had happened.
Edward Snowden was expected on this flight out of Moscow, bound for Cuba. The plane left on time, but his seat was empty.
Empty, or Edward Snowden had turned invisible, a trick that the nearly translucent Julian Assange is still trying to perfect as he did his part to keep this mystery alive.
He is in a safe place and his spirits are high due to the bellicose threats coming from the US administration. We cannot go into further details at this time.
Julian Assange there, calling in from his sex line. So Snowden's awesome game of hide and seek me with the drone was going brilliantly, until it came to a sudden and crashing end thanks to Russian President Vladimir Putin, pictured here sporting some nipple warmers. And while the US criticised Russia for helping Snowden, Putin dismissed those claims as ravings and rubbish, adding,
I myself would prefer not to deal with these issues. It's like giving a baby pig a haircut. There's a lot of squealing, but there's little wool.
And if you know what Putin's talking about, please send us an explanation in a stamped, self-addressed envelope care of do pigs even have wool and who'd give a baby one a haircut? Still, we know he's in Moscow, currently stuck in Shemai TV airport. Rachel Corbett's been travelling with Snowden and we join her there now. Rachel. Rach.
Oh, I know karate! Oh, God. Oh, Tom, it's just you. Sorry, I fell asleep.
It's okay, Rach. Now, where is Snowden right now?
Oh, I don't know. He's probably taking a wee or something. To be honest, it's nice to have 5 minutes by myself. We've totally run out of things to talk about. Ugh, and I'm going to extradite him myself if he takes one more bite out of my giant Toblerone. Tom, I am so bored.
Bored? But you're embedded with a fugitive on the run in a story involving the US government and Assange and Putin. It's huge. It's like a real-life James Bond movie.
Is it, Tom? Which film did James Bond's big mission involve trying to catch a few Z's on his backpack in the departure lounge? Was it From Russia with Boredom?
Oh, so what have you been doing then?
Well, since I had all this time on my hands, I did cut together a package of my experience. Prepare to be dazzled. Edward Snowden, wanted fugitive, man on the run. For the past 48 hours, we've shared the experience of a life in exile. This is our story. This is exciting, Edward. I've never been part of a case of international espionage before. I guess we haven't got long to wait. We'll be moving to the next exotic location soon. Nothing keeping us here. So, Edward, I don't mean to be pushy, but there's just been a few flights sort of flying away to Cuba out there. Were you thinking on maybe getting on one at some point? Oh, you want to try the massage chair? Okay, no worries. I'll just sit here. Oh, damn it, Snowden. When you get a 10-pack of nuggets, you're supposed to get 2 packets of sauce. What am I supposed to dip my chips in now?
Is that it? Rach!
Oh, sorry, Tom. I fell asleep again. I really couldn't live through that one more time. Oh, I see the US authorities outside the window. Why can't they just come in and get him? I don't understand what's stopping them, Tom. It's a door. Just walk through it.
No, Rach, they can't just enter and take him without breaking international law.
Well, I thought the US sneaking into other countries and taking things they weren't entitled to is what started this whole mess, Tom. They didn't seem to care about that when they were conducting surveillance on foreigners' phone and internet communications. So why are you worrying about it now?
It's a good question. You should ask Jazz and Smeagol. Finally, though, there is controversy over a photo of Prime Minister Julia Gillard that appears in the latest issue of the Australian Women's Weekly. According to the Daily Telegraph...
It's been hailed as the image which could bring down the Prime Minister.
An image that could bring down the Prime Minister. I'm going to go with she's wearing a meat dress and punching a koala. Oh, okay. Well, unless a Prime Minister can be dismissed by the Governor-General on charges of adorkability, I think she might be safe. Although if some senior Labor Party sources are to be believed, this could be the Women's Weekly spread next week. Now, the photo of the Prime Minister knitting a toy kangaroo for the royal baby sent shockwaves through the Twitterverse. It was criticised by many as going against her feminist principles and led to tweeters creating the hashtag #Knitgate. Good for them. Still, I can understand people being curious about this photo shoot. I mean, even the Prime Minister said she felt slightly absurd. And fortunately, we can now know a little bit more about what was going on set as the roasters obtained this behind-the-scenes footage from the shoot.
Look, am I surprised by the outrage? Honestly, not at all. I mean, we wanted to create something provocative, artistic, different, something with a message, something that would grab people's attention. And I won't lie, it wasn't easy. All right, you're knitting. Yeah. Oh, you've missed a stitch. Get angry. Spit at me. Yeah, throw the dog at me. No, nothing. You're giving me nothing, Julia. This is bullshit. There were creative differences. I think in the end what we got was a very tame image. But that's what happens when you shoot with Women's Weekly. We had a lot of other artistic ideas too. Frankie, Zoo Weekly, and Caravan World. She's inside the caravan knitting.
So somehow at the centre of all this outrage is a woman knitting a cuddly toy kangaroo for William and Catherine's baby that'll be due in July. And yeah, it looks okay. Personally, I prefer the dog she knitted. But you have to admit the politics of giving presents is hard. If we look at which ones are the best, it goes homemade and thoughtful, expensive, something you need, nothing, and then charity donation. Ugh. And this gift has sent shockwaves across the globe, with world leaders now in a state of panic. We sent Nick Richardson to investigate.
Just when international leaders had enough to worry about with climate change and Edward Snowden, now they have to outgift the Australian Prime Minister and her thoughtful handmade toy kangaroo. It's certainly a hard act to follow, so how do other world leaders compare with their baby gifts? Obama has a strict $100 present limit, but the president has taste, so I'm sure it's something nice. I think it's a book. Here at number 10, they've sent their traditional £25 in an envelope so the baby can buy something it actually wants. No present from Russia, but rather an IOU from the Kremlin. I think Putin is hoping Julia Gillard will show him the knitted toy kangaroo so he can just take it and give it to Catherine and William himself. Classic Poots.